Well, this week, lawmakers in Washington are considering the Equality Act. If passed, the bill would amend the Civil Rights Act to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. CBN's Heather Sells spoke with Doreen Denny, Senior Director of Government Relations for Concerned Women for America, for more on the issue.
I understand that lawmakers have voted this bill out of committee and that it could go up for a vote on the House floor this week. Tell us what the latest is.
Yeah, we're expecting a vote on the House floor on Friday this week. It's interesting that the House is just kind of doing this on a Friday, because usually when they want to get a lot of attention for something, they might do that in the middle of the week. But that's not the case in this case.
Okay. And the president of your organization, Concerned Women for America, recently wrote an op-ed piece with Natasha Chart, the board chair of the Women's Liberation Front, to oppose the Equality Act. Talk about this unusual alliance and the concern that both groups have about this bill.
Well, I will. And you know, it's interesting, like I mentioned, with Congress wanting to make this a signature piece, they are probably starting to feel the heat with organizations like ours joining together, because what this bill will be is an injustice for the women of America. This is not the Equality Act for women. In fact, it's going to discriminate against women, because by allowing for gender identity to be put into federal law as a protected class, you're essentially erasing protections for women. This bill would allow for any biological man to have access to any place, any space, our sports competitions, just by saying that he wants to identify as being a woman. And there is no standard for this. So any man that decides he wants to say that he's a woman at any time could enter our dressing rooms, our bathrooms, our dorm rooms. And this is the thing that's a travesty for American women. Congress should be passing laws that protect women, not putting us at risk.
What has it been like working with this radical feminist group? Yeah, I'm sure you never expected to be collaborating with them.
Well, you know, what you realize is that at such a time as this, that there are people, or there are groups that might be, you know, quite apart on many issues, who have similar interests. And in this case, the women's feminists in this case believe that women should be protected, believe that females and the female status that we've shared over the years, everything that we've gained for the last 40 years in law, shouldn't be erased and undone by a law that's going to allow for any man to claim that he's a woman. So we find ourselves very much in partnership with this group. They're lovely people that we've been working with, and we're looking forward to having this statement be made loud and clear as the Congress is debating the bill this week.
Really interesting. And how do you gauge things overall right now in terms of support, opposition to this? Are you hearing from other women's groups on this issue?
Well, we certainly are. In fact, the Independent Women's Forum, Independent Women's Voice, is with us on this. They represent a lot of women who are not just conservatives, but also women across the spectrum. We have other organizations that are joining in with this, who are, again, representing women's concerns and women's views. You know, the American people do not want an extreme bill that would do something as severe as change our fundamental civil rights laws around sex, to impose a new conforming agenda, or something that the American people are going to have to conform to, which is really an ideology about gender identity. You know, it's time that we really stand firm against this kind of radicalism. And, you know, all the Democrats have jumped on this bill. I mean, maybe that's not a surprise. It's a signature priority of Nancy Pelosi. In the Senate, similarly, all the Democrats have jumped on this bill. But we've challenged them on this point that we're talking about, erasing females, and they have no answer for this. So we believe that by joining together, linking arms across the aisle, across the spectrum, political spectrum and the ideological spectrum, like we have with the Women's Liberation Front, this should be sending America to not only to Congress, but to the American people.
All right, Doreen Denny, fascinating politics in Washington this week. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.